Well, I want to start off with a couple of disclaimers, which is always kind of like, oh my God, what is she going to say? But for those of you who have inquired about my eye, I have a broken blood vessel in it and I'm fine. And I can see pretty well, and I kind of think it matches my dress. So, I'll do anything. And the second disclaimer is, earlier in the week, Reverend Joe said to me, do you know what you're going to say? Are you nervous? And I said, no, not really. He says, well, you just can't stand there and smile and look cute. You have to say something meaningful. Well, it's hard for me not to stand here and look cute. It's hard for me not to smile because I have such joy. So, the meaningful part, that's up to you. If you find something meaningful, cool. If you don't, you can just stand here, you just watch me stand here looking cute and smiling and thinking to yourself, bless her heart. It's a good thing we don't have her do this much. So, very great. So I can truly tell you that this is very weird for me to be up here. Because as I walked through the doors 4 years ago this past August, I had no idea that this is where I would end up, speaking to you about how joyful and meaningful this job is to me. I have so much admiration for all of you ministers out there that do this on a weekly basis. Formulating thoughts, attaching texts, doing this. It's harder than it looks, and you guys make it look very easy. So I want to give you big props today because I have found that just putting my ramblings and my musings down is hard. So I have always been a people person, and I know that you hear that often, especially if you go to an interview, they ask you, what are your skills? And you say, I'm a people person. And it really doesn't mean anything. It just means that you don't know really what you are. So in this job, which I don't call labor, it has brought together for me all of my spiritual gifts, all of my life's talents, and what I am naturally able to do, which is talk people into doing things they would normally not want to do. When I was growing up, I was asked, like most of you all, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I have two professional parents who were horrified when I said, I want to be a seller of tomatoes in the market. And it's not so much that that's a bad thing because it has quite a cachet and a panache now with our beautiful tailgate markets and organic things. But when I was growing up in Jamaica, it was not something that you wanted to do. But I thought it was great fun because if you've ever been to a market in another country, you know it's teeming with noises and people dressed in wild colors and just fun. And looking back now, I think of it as not so much that I wanted to sell anything, I just wanted to have fun. So I've always been in awe of people like you who come out of the womb knowing with their little briefcases what they wanted to do. You know, the lawyers, the doctors, the accountants, nurses. My path was never that clear. I always knew that I had something to contribute to the world, but it had to be fun. So, that being said, I embarked on, of course, a career because I found out that selling tomatoes in the market was not very lucrative. And my parents were just not having any of that. So I did the college thing, thought I was going to be a teacher, went through into, all kinds of things and realized that I am not a teacher at all. And so I went on to do other things that I thought would work better for me. And in all honesty, they did. But it all had to do with people. Serving people, that's my thing. That's how God has wired up me to be. So, this job, I get to serve you all joyfully, gladly, humbly. I also get to come to a place every single day that the four people that work together, me, Reverend Joe, Pastor Gary, and Harper, our primary function each day is to make this congregation the best that it can be, whether it's in worship service or how we go about social justice issues, making life better for the world, locally, and each of you. That's what we try to do every day. Once in a while, whenever she's in town, Reverend Audra and I get together and have what we call a chat and chew, which means we get together for a meal and just talk. And one day she said, we were talking about all the things that I've done in my life, and she said, "Oh, you're a generalist." And I said, "Yes, I am." But in the meanwhile, I was thinking, what the heck does she mean by that? And what she meant is that when you've had to reinvent yourself over and over again, you get to be good at a lot of things. And I've taken it further by saying, I'm good at a lot of things, but generally, the things I'm not good at, I generally find someone else to do it for me. So if I don't want to lift anything, I go, "John Bravitt, I need your muscles." And he responds. So that's how the word generalist come to be. And I think Pastor Gary is a generalist too, because he does a lot of stuff. I'm comforted by the only person that I know that has had more jobs than me is Beaver. If you ever asked her what she's done in her life, she will tell you, but you'll have to have about half an hour. She has done many beautiful and wonderful things and interesting things, but she always told me she was fickle and she just wanted to learn to do other things. I'm like Beaver. I've learned to do a lot of other things. Then the next term I learned when I moved to the South was landing in tall cotton. I heard it in Greensboro. One of my associates was talking about this other girl who had married this really rich old man, and she would never have to work a day in her life again because she landed in tall cotton. She was set for life. And I thought, well, that's an interesting term. And I've used it once or twice, not necessarily in that way, but I found that this job has landed me in spiritual tall cotton because I'm set. Not necessarily, as Gary says, the money. But I'm fed every day because no day is the same. And for that, I'm grateful. So each day I come when I work with Rev Joe, and yes, I amusingly call him that, and he wonders why, but when I really want him to sound hip, I call him Rev J. And, he doesn't understand. But it's for me, it's a way of letting him know that I respect who he is and what he means to me. He literally cares so much about me that he encourages me to rest and replenish and spend time with my animals and go home once in a while. But he also understands that this way that I work, working late at night, I have 2 jobs, is the way that I work. I am good at 2 a.m. I'm not so great at 8 a.m. But he understands that, and he knows no matter what, the job will get done. Then there is Pastor Gary, my friend, my partner in crime. Reverend Joe calls us Pentecost people, not to be called Pentecostal, because that's totally different. But we're Pentecostal Pentecost people because we are bright and we're loud and we just are on fire a lot of the times. And he helped me to create that beautiful office that Jim Louder calls the best office in Asheville, which I share with all of you. He's talented, he's got a big voice and a big heart, and can sew and plumb and work in the garden and do all these magnificent things. He's not great with houseplants, so don't give him a houseplant. He'll kill it. Thank God for Mandy Kellstrom. She comes and makes it work. But he has an enormous talent for a lot of things, and he teaches me reality every day, because he says, girl, that ain't gonna work. It's not gonna work. You gotta do something else. And so we sit and we talk and we laugh and we play off each other's goodness. And I'm grateful. So a show of hands, who has even met Harper? Oh, more people than I thought. She's like Oz. She's behind that that curtain. And I call her quietly competent because she shares gifts and talents that we don't have. And she has tried for the last 10 months to tell me, Yolanda, that is not within your job description. You don't have to do that. You can say no. You don't have to fix everything. I'm not learning very well because I still want to fix everything. But I'm trying. Each day, God has given me the ability to climb the numerous steps in this building, finding new ways to make worship fun with Gary, interesting, thoughtful, loving. I'm so amazed by that. To be this young age and to find out finally what God has given you the power to do. So, when at retreat, Reverend Kelly asked the congregation on Sunday services to call out names to be grateful for what I did for retreat. And I heard things like OCD and relentless and persistent. And I said, well, that's just too bad, because you have me now and I'm here to stay. So get used to it. I'm all of those, but I'm even more. I am the grease, the bridge, the beggar, the friend, the deacon, the dreamer, and the doer. I am persistent, relentless, OCD, and all of those things. But most of all, I am grateful. Amen.